This is the Mets POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Bottom of the lineup production, hitting with 2 outs. Where did the 2025 New York Mets go? Welcome in to the Mets Postcast here, live on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed, as we recap the New York Mets taking the series from the Los Angeles Angels, defeating them by a final score of 3-2 tonight. I am your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. And you can wonder aloud, you can ask the question I made it the thumbnail for the episode, are the Mets back? Getting that production from the bottom part of the lineup, Francisco Alvarez having a big hit, some hits with 2 outs in this game, and a bullpen that did not have their ace out there, did not have their A reliever in Edwin Diaz available, but got the job done anyway. And tonight, it was all about the little things for the New York Mets.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Ask yourself this question, or answer this question that I'm going to ask of you. If I would have told you before the game today that the big four, the Fab Four of the New York Mets, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, that those four would combine to have 1 hit in a baseball game, would you pick the Mets to win? Would you expect the Mets to be able to celebrate a victory like they just did a few moments ago? It had been a problem for weeks on end here on this postcast. The Mets getting nothing from the bottom part of their lineup. It has to be those 4 guys at the top. How many times did we meet here and talk about a team that they didn't get contributions from the big 4, and so they lost the baseball game? Doesn't matter how well you pitch. Doesn't matter how many chances you get with runners in scoring position. Too many men left on base. Too many hits without too many missed opportunities with runners in scoring position, all because the Mets really had an offense of 4 players. Well, tonight, those 4 players combined for 1 hit, and the Mets were still able to find a way. Why? The bottom part of the lineup, it was production from players like Brett Baty. It was the big home run from Francisco Alvarez. It was Ronny Mauricio getting a hit with 2 outs to give Brandon Nimmo a chance to drive in the run that put the Mets in front. It was a thing that the Mets had not been doing well for weeks, months on end. They did it well tonight, and it should not surprise anybody that when the Mets are able to get contributions from the bottom part of the lineup, they are able to find a way to win. And so you look at this as an encouraging sign. Am I worried that Francisco Lindor is going through one of the worst stretches we've seen him go through? You betcha. Am I worried that Pete Alonso is going through a very bad stretch right now? You betcha. Juan Soto drew 3 walks tonight, did a great job just taking what was given to him, getting on base, stealing bases, picked up his 13th stolen base this season, a new career high. The Mets top 4 have to do more. We all can agree on that. But on a night like tonight, boy, is it a lot of fun to celebrate the bottom part of the lineup. Boy, is it a lot of fun to celebrate the young Mets, the baby Mets, Brett Baty, Francisco Alvarez, Ronny Mauricio being at the center of a New York Mets comeback, being at the center of a New York Mets victory, a breath of fresh air. And what more can you say about Brett Baty and Francisco Alvarez with the way that they played tonight? Brett Baty making defensive plays all over the place, hitting a really well-struck double in this game. Francisco Alvarez receiving a ball from Juan Soto out there in right field, getting a runner out at home plate, hitting that big 2-run home run. That is absolutely what we love to see from Francisco Alvarez, what we expect to see from Francisco Alvarez. You're somewhat surprised that he hit the home run tonight just because of how much he had struggled, but what a good moment for him. And I put it there in the sidebar. Is Alvy back? And I don't want to overreact to 2 games. I don't want to overreact to just a handful of at-bats, but boy, does it just feel like this is a different Francisco Alvarez. It just feels like a more confident, more patient, more calm, cool, collected Francisco Alvarez. Did allow a ball to get by him. I think that was more of a wild pitch than anything else, but has the big hit, has the big moment, and you can tell that kind of boosted his confidence a little bit. Jay asks, you think Lindor and Alonso will wake up before the bottom 4 get cold? Listen, baseball is inherently a game of streakiness. Not everybody in the lineup is going to all fire together on all cylinders at one time. Just not the way the game works. You don't want everybody hot at the same time, just like you don't want everybody cold at the same time. Guys are going to slump all throughout the year. And so it's good that while the big four are slumping, the Mets are able to win 2 games in this series. Series W already locked up before we even get to tomorrow afternoon's contest where the Mets will go for the sweep. The Mets have now won 3 in a row while the top 4 of their lineup not doing a whole lot. So just, I get it. You worry about Lindor struggling. You worry about Alonso struggling. You know that most times the big four are going to have to do it. But tonight was a reminder, I think, and that's the takeaway that at least I have. It is a reminder of the potential of this team when their young players are contributing alongside those big stars. It is a reminder of what Brett Baty can be for this team on a regular basis. It is a reminder of the potential that a 23, yes, he is still 23-year-old Francisco Alvarez can have for this team. It is a reminder of why Ronny Mauricio was listed as one of the top prospects that the Mets had before he got hurt, before he missed a season and a half. Sometimes we need those reminders over the course of the season. Tonight was that reminder with those 3 guys at the center of things for the New York Mets. Frankie Montas got the start tonight for New York and unfortunately could not join a club that right now only has David Peterson as a member because over the last 37 games for the New York Mets, they've had 5 instances where a starter has been able to go at least 6 innings. All 5 belong to David Peterson, awaiting somebody else to join the club, waiting for Sean Manaea, waiting for Kodai Senga, waiting for Frankie Montas to join that club. And boy, did Frankie Montas give us a run at that tonight. And while, yes, not reaching that milestone of 6 innings and giving the Mets the much-needed length that we would all love for them to have from their starters, I thought Frankie Montas did an excellent job tonight. Had an elevated pitch count, was able to pitch deeper into the game that we've seen from him in the past. And I think he just attacked the strike zone tonight in a way that really helped him. Yeah, he gave up the home run to Soler. Yeah, it wasn't perfect. But again, I thought a real good command of the strike zone, attacked it, and worked up that pitch count, which certainly is an encouraging sign moving forward. I believe he finished with 91 pitches in this game. Yeah, 91 pitches in this one. So we'll see if that now kind of frees him up to creep up towards that 100 pitch mark. And I know he gave up 8 hits. I know he had the 2 walks, but again, grinding it out. And that's what you expect from Frankie Montas. Throw that stuff, grind it out, find a way to give 5 or 6 innings. And he did that again tonight. So it feels like he might be turning the corner. You might start to see the governor come off of him and him be able to go deeper into these games, stretch to 100, 105 pitches. And I'm sure his confidence is going to build with each of these starts. Michael W. says they're still limping into wins. I would rather them limp into wins than to limp into losses. I am not going to apologize for a victory. I'm not going to apologize for when their big 4 combined for 1 hit that the Mets are able to scratch and claw and find a way to win. Because if they didn't do that, we would all be asking questions about where's the fight, where's the scratch, where's the claw. Guess what? The last 2 nights you've seen it from the New York Mets. You saw it last night in their ability to erase a 4-run deficit for the second time this season. Tonight you saw it again. They dig themselves a little bit of an early hole down 2-0. And it's not the guys that you expect that dug them out of the hole tonight. It was the young guys. It was Baty. It was Alvarez. It was Mauricio. It's the guys hitting 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup. I mean, we've been asking for production from the bottom half of the lineup for weeks now. We got it tonight. So I am not going to apologize. Sure, let's point out that the big 4 struggled tonight. Sure, let's absolutely point out the struggles that Lindor and Alonso are currently going through. Absolutely. There's good and bad from a game like tonight. But man, let's celebrate a night like tonight where the 3 guys at the bottom of the lineup that are the guys that can help lengthen this lineup and give you hope that this team can go deep into the postseason. They came through in a big way for this team tonight. Let's talk about the bullpen. A bit of a different usage of the bullpen tonight for Carlos Mendoza. Was really intrigued to see what he was going to do tonight. We got that answer. We'll talk about that. The other stuff to keep an eye on, some roster moves today made from the New York Mets. And yes, your thoughts always welcome here on the Mets Postcast. We'll get to all of that here on the other side. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling. With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends, well, they're getting sunburned at the beach. FanDuel can track your favorite matchups. The app's going to keep it fresh for you with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I am part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Back here on the Mets Postcast, Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Chris Schubert here, recapping another victory for the New York Mets, their third win in a row as they take down the Los Angeles Angels by a final score of 3-2. I see some people talking about the concern level that they had with Ryne Stanek up in the ninth inning. And you knew going into this game, all you had to do was look at the usage charts over the last couple of days to know that Edwin Diaz unavailable after working the last two nights. Oscar Brazoban wasn't going to be available after working the last two nights. And so you saw the slew of roster moves that the Mets made today, shuffling deck chairs around in their bullpen, just moving guys back and forth. Rico Garcia, who was a Met, then was claimed by the Yankees, then was DFA'd by the Yankees, then he was brought back to the New York Mets on a claim. He got some run tonight, gave the Mets an inning of work. Reed Garrett got 4 outs for this team, and it was Ryne Stanek who closed the door. I was somewhat surprised that this is the way that Mendy chose to deploy the bullpen tonight. I certainly thought he was going to earmark Reed Garrett for the ninth inning, and I don't know this. I wonder if somebody would ask him about it post-game, but I wonder if with the way the game kind of played itself out and how it was still a one-run game, that when he brought Reed Garrett in with a runner on in a one-run baseball game, that was just him treating this somewhat like it was a postseason game, right? Postseason game, that's the spot that you would use Edwin Diaz in the seventh inning of a game, tying run on base, got to get through this part of the lineup, got to get through this moment right here, and then I'll worry about the eighth and ninth innings later. Felt like that's kind of what he did with Reed Garrett, because I think ideally the Mets would have gotten him some insurance runs, and then he could have used Stanek early and then had Garrett shut the door, but he used Garrett in a really nice spot. Garrett got the 2 strikeouts, gave the Mets a very important 4 outs, and credit where credit is due. I know he allowed a couple of hits, but Stanek got the job done. And let's face it, you remove him from playing Baltimore or Washington this season, and Ryne Stanek has been pretty good, picking up his 3rd save of the season. And so even on a night where they don't have Edwin Diaz, their top reliever, they don't have one of their more trusted middle to high leverage relievers in Oscar Brazoban, the Mets are still able to find a way with their bullpen to get it done. I'm seeing some questions about Francisco Lindor, and we can use that to transition into the stuff to keep an eye on, because it was another tough night for Francisco, going 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, and questioning whether or not Lindor is hurt, questioning FD saying Lindor needs to sit a game or two. I mean, I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to sit Lindor down, at least as of yet. Lindor is hurt, Jay Muse asks. I mean, he's been dealing with the toe thing for a while now, and we know that that's just a pain tolerance thing until the offseason rolls around. So I don't want to say that he's hurt, but he is dealing with that. He's been dealing with that since it happened, and it's really just a pain tolerance thing for him. So we'll see how they choose to handle it, but I think as long as Francisco Lindor is pain-free, Carlos Mendoza is going to put his name in the lineup every single day, and at some point he'll break out of this in a big way. Juan Soto picked up his 13th stolen base of the season, on pace now for 21 stolen bases this season. Already setting a career high. Stole 12 bases. I believe it was each of the last 2 years. I know he definitely did it last year. Picked up his 13th stolen base here in this game, on pace for 21. And man, shout out, tip of the cap to Anton Richardson, the first base coach for the New York Mets. I mean, the Mets have 22, 23 consecutive stolen base attempts without being thrown out. I mean, elite is the word that I would use to describe what the Mets are doing on the base paths right now. Just elite level of awareness, elite advanced scouting. I mean, they just have every pitcher's number. The Angels pitched out to try to get Luis Angel Acuna, and they still couldn't do it. I mean, the Mets have just found a way to turn this into a huge strength for this team, and this is an asset. These are the little things, man. These are the important little things that you need to do. Want to talk about little things in this game? How different does this game go if Juan Soto isn't able to throw out that runner in the first inning for Frankie Montas at home plate? Does the game script go differently at that point with a run in the Angels' back pocket early in this game? the stealing of bases, setting up chances with runners in scoring position. I know the Mets haven't been great at hitting with runners in scoring position, but part of the reason why they get so many opportunities over the course of a game is because of the threat that they are with running on the base paths. And it isn't just the guys that you would expect it to be, right? You'd expect Brandon Nimmo to steal bases. You'd expect Francisco Lindor to steal bases. You'd expect Tyrone Taylor when he plays to steal bases. You've got everybody contributing right now to this stolen base game for the New York Mets, and it is all because of the advanced scouting that this team does. And it's so much fun to watch because you can tell that the hard work is paying off. And just really great to see the Mets utilize something. I mean, these are the little things. These are the things you have to do well. You got to play good defense. You got to take advantage on the base paths. When teams give you free outs, the Angels kicked the ball around a little bit in this game today. Now, the Mets didn't directly turn those into insurance runs, and you worry about that against a better team, but teams give you extra outs. Take advantage of it. These are the little things that we talk about each and every day here when we do these postcasts. And so in some ways tonight, the Mets did take advantage of those moments. And yeah, Dave mentioning Acuna beating that pitch out. I mean, that's just the pure speed of Luis Angel Acuna and how great he is overall as a stolen base threat. Just how great he has been this season. And that his 12th stolen base so far. And remember, this is a guy they sent down for a little bit, and he's matching Juan Soto in stolen bases. So a good night for the New York Mets, picking up another win, their third win in a row. They send Sean Manaea to the mound tomorrow to try to go for the sweep of the Los Angeles Angels. Programming note, afternoon game tomorrow. No postcast from me. Got the day job to keep an eye on. I am back Friday night to start the 3-game set. You've got me all weekend when the Mets take on the Giants. But the New York Mets, they get some solid starting pitching. They get some great bullpen work. And the bottom part of their lineup, yes, not a misprint, not a typo. The bottom part of their lineup produces. Francisco Alvarez ties the game with a 2-run homer. Ronny Mauricio gets on base, and it is Brandon Nimmo who drives him in to give the Mets a 3-2 lead. And that was all that the New York Mets needed in this one tonight. So enjoy this one, Mets fans, as the Mets scratch and claw the last 2 nights to find a way to win and now have an opportunity to go for a sweep. Have a good one, Mets fans.